Okay. Well, being in a bubble is living in a enclosed or isolated sphere of existence wherein uh, everything that happens just reinforces your existing beliefs, your existing opinions, your existing beliefs, and there's very little what do you call this? There's very little cognitive dissonance basically sa kaning sphere of existence nimo.
Oo. Di ko kasabot ang cognitive dissonance. Unsa man ang cognitive dissonance? Kog palabig English diya. Unsa man ang cognitive dissonance? Unsa man na?
Basically
Kanang unsa man ang cognitive dissonance? Mura man kugmo. Unsa man ang cognitive dissonance? Pasabta ko ni atong mga kigsuonan ko ni. Asa ko kasabutan na ba?
Well, cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort people feel when their actions conflict with their beliefs, values, or attitudes.
So ina sila buhaton kung sukwahi sa ilang pagtuo.
Yeah.
So kanang
Namer discomfort na imo ma-feel in that moment.
So pasabot niya na kung naka sa bubble wala kay nana. So imo ang gipang buhat mo sa imong mga pagtuo.
Oo, everything you do sa bubble kay moray kan ipang reinforce lang jud nimo sa imong current nga beliefs.
Sige be. Pasabta ko no atong mga kaigsuonan be. Unsa man ang mga siyensya, unsa man ang mga science, dahil siyensya is science. Unsa man ang mga telltale signs, right? How do you unsa binisayan ng science? Unsa may mga ebidensya nga ikaw naka inside a bubble. Be tanaw ko na to be. Unsa man, number 1.
Okay, one moment.
How do you know when you're in a bubble? Number 1 is
limited perspectives.
Limited perspective. Okay. Unsa may pasabot ng limited perspective? Go ahead.
Well, ang imong may experience within the bubble lang kay mostly you're going to be exposed to views and opinions that align with your own.
You're exposed to views and opinions that align with your own. So ang imuhang mga pagtuo, ang imuhang mga ikastorya, ang imuhang kung naka sa social media, ang imuhang mga website, mga chat groups, mga Reddit or whatever, pariha mo og pagtuo.
Yes.
Diba? So pariha mo, so magasinabot mo.
Oo.
Magasinabot mo. Kung eskwelahan siya, ang imuhang clique of friends, imong barkada, ang imuhang lugar nga standbyan, ang mga tao diha pariha og pagtuo nimo. So mo na siyang signs or telltale signs that you're in a bubble. You have very limited perspectives, right?
Yeah.
What's number 2?
Excuse me. Number 2, your social media feeds or conversations reinforce similar ideas without challenging them.
Okay. So you're in an
echo chamber.
Echo chamber. Kanang echo, di ba? Mo man gwapo ko. Mo na echo, di ba?
Mo nang echo.
Kung mayon ka gwapo ka, ang echo gwapo ka, di ba? Gwapo ka.
Yeah.
So maingon ko nga kaning
magbalik-balik
lang. So imuhang mga pagtuo, ang imong mga ipanglitok mo bandara.
Oo.
Unya mo agree ra nimo nga gwapo ka. Why mo sa kuhay ni mga echo nga bati kog nong.
Oo, wala.
So mo nang you're in an echo chamber nga ang tanan nga taong imong ikastorya mo regurgitate lang mo replicate lang, mo echo lang sa imuhang mga pagtuo, ipang-ingon nimo. Okay. So that's number 2 sign of the signs nga you are inside an echo chamber. Number 3.
And number 3, lack of diverse interactions. So you rarely engage with people from different backgrounds, cultures, or industries.
So lack of diverse interactions. So choice gyud na nimo, di ba? Choice na nimo kay kanang imong ka-interact. Pwede man ka mangita og lain nga lugar nga standbyan. Kung eskwelahan pa, kung social media groups pa na siya, ganahan ka mo hang out og lain-lain og mga panghuna-huna, di ba?
Mm-mm.
So kanang lack of diverse interactions in a way is imuha ng kaugalingon nga binuhat, di ba?
I think in most cases yes, pero na yung mga siguro mga cases nga dili siya necessarily your fault nga ang imong mga kuan, ang imong ka interactan nga ang mga tao pare-parehara og mga huna-huna, pare-parehara og mga background. Sometimes it's kuan due to the environment around you. Or sometimes ikaw ang mo seek out ana nga environment.
Pareho anang naaka sa eskwelahan, di ba?
Yeah.
So kung naaka sa eskwelahan, dili man na nimo construction wa man ka naghimo anang environment nimo, di ba?
Yeah.
Ang eskwelahan man ni ana. So
Yeah, exactly.
kung inanang dapita diha, dili na sa nimo, but you can always seek out even in a school, for example, namang mga barkada-barkada na mga na mga cliques na different points of view pa na namagay mga political parties within a school, di ba? Di ba? Di ba? Di ba? Nanay mga fraternities within schools nga lain-lain og pagtuo, di ba? So kanang manggong batan-on ka, di ba? You have a need to belong. You need people who agree with you. You need a camp, di ba? Because kanang manggong universidad, just like a society. Daghang kayo mga bullies, daghang kayo mga it's a scary place, especially if you're young. Right? You're in the school, it's a scary place, right? So you need to feel that you're part of a group. Nga kung pananglitan na ay mo bully nimo, pananglitan na ay kay usa ka butang nga ganahan mahitabo, dili man mahimo nga ikaw rang usa magsagit-sagit tunga-tunga sa oblation, di ba? Or sa flagpole, di ba? Kinahanglan magyud nga naa kay grupo para you have the power to change. So naturalmente gyud na siya, dili na siya ingon nga sukwahi na sa human nature. Kanang imuhang pag-interact sa like-minded people is really a natural thing. So I think it's unnatural to effort you guys to seek other opinions, diba? Especially if you're young, diba?
Yeah.
Ikaw ba bago mo juga ni graduate og college sa UP ba? Give me your experience kuno nga to demonstrate this particular sign that you're in a bubble, nga lack of diverse interactions.
Okay. Let me try and think. Well, probably.
Palayo lagi imong lagi
sorry.
kundi pag nga niyo.
My bad. I was trying to think. Nickel Tragawas.
Yeah.
Well, in my experience, kay let's say this. Usually kay sa UP you'll tend to find a lot of students who gather around and they talk about a variety of things. Nya kasagari man jud kay nadjay point nga moabot ang storya sa kanang socio-political nga topics and all that. And it's very interesting kay sometimes kay like especially if na mo'y pagka close you'll have people who will walk up niya mo chime in sila sa conversation. And a lot of the times they come in and they not necessarily repeat pero similar pod ang ilang storya. Dili siya necessarily repeated pero like reinforced ang mga ideas na gipang
so give me don't be vague. I was asking you for a specific example.
Specific
example ba because I bago na ko graduate ko, di ba? I can give you examples but I wanna hear from you first kay mas presko man nimo gikan ang imuhang interactions with your classmates ba?
Well, okay, kani kay dili siya necessarily political pero
Well, it is. I'm not asking it to be political. It's
yeah,
just
yeah, no. Per ang kaning example na that's I guess more fresh ako memory is with regards sa among choir nga org.
Mm-mm.
And we have a very we have like a specific way of singing songs nga kaan that we approve of. Okay, kaan na medyo specific sound ang kanang mga choral music, and we're trying to reach that specific way of singing, that technique. So gina-discourage yun ang kanang very very dagan kay mga sliding notes and all that, kay that's for more pop solo nga performances. Kay in a choir dapat uniform jud ang sound niya, walay mga additional notes and all that. Meanwhile sa mga pop solo nga singing, kay it's fine kay man, you're allowed to do that, kay you're basically giving your own twist to the performance and all that. And then we were talking about kanang how people sing sa among choir, and basically we got to the topic of kana again, like how certain people like to put curls gani sa ilang mga notes and all that. And while man, understandable man jud siya, kay ang among perspective sa mga members, kay it's really coming from a choral nga perspective. But the argument for what do you call this, kanang curling sa notes and all that, it's something we were really trying to just discourage within the group lang siguro. Kay ang kanang mindset lagi, we need to set it aside, because we need to just stick to this mindset nga, this is what we're trying to achieve, man. So in a way that
So what's the opposite of that?
well nga basically the opposite is that we're you're free to sing however you want to sing sa choir, but we're not we're trying to enforce like a particular way of singing jud, because mo jud ang choral nga sound.
So that's the opposite
Yeah.
of that. And then ikaw, which camp did you belong?
Oh, I definitely went with the you need to sing a particular way. Okay, this is how a chorale should sound, basically.
So how did you sort of the word is not solve. How did the group react to this diversity of opinion?
Dismissively. kay kon man jud ang mindset na namo na jud, like you're supposed to be singing this way. This is how you're supposed to be singing. If you're going to be singing with us, this is how you should practice singing. Kay kon man, if this is ideally unsay mo gawas, kay we're going to be performing throughout the year and all that. Yeah, basin another kay ka na imong slide imong notes and all that, and madala nimo sa actual nga performances. So if for now, while you're singing with us, try your best to sing this way.
So, but you are still exposed, and the diverse opinion that you experienced in that small group of singers is still being honored. Wala lang naalay mo raw medyo usa ka opinion nga mo in a way mo dominate, or mo I venture in saying makadaog, di ba? Because there's an objective. So that's what it is. That's what a diverse of opinion or diverse interactions mean. Ang ikaw, Pat, what's number 4 in the top 10 telltale signs that you are in a bubble?
Well, number 4 would be confirmation bias.
What does confirmation bias mean?
So kaning confirmation bias, it's the phenomenon where ikaw mismo mo seek out ka og information that confirms your pre-existing beliefs.
Okay.
So basically mangita kag mga evidences ba, or mga studies or mga surveys that basically prop up your beliefs as being true.
So mangita ka og articles, mangita ka og mga tao, mangita ka og nga ikastorya nimo, mangita kag mga shows, mangita kag anything nga mo confirm sa imuhang mga pagtuo.
Yeah.
Nganong mangita man ka og kwan bay og something that confirms your beliefs. Unsa may advantage niya. Maybe we'll talk about that later on. Let's just break down first the telltale signs that you are in a bubble. Ang atong topic kanong buntaga is how do you know if you're inside a bubble?
Well, so the next factor would be narrow information sources. So you rely heavily on single source or type of media for news and information.
Okay.
So basically, if you live in a bubble, mungita kag kanang part man ni siya sa confirmation bias where you're only looking for specific nga news sources. So you mo jud limit ang amount of source of information that you have. Okay, kung social media ra imong ang mo basically mo reinforce imong beliefs, so sa social media ra jud ka mangitag information. Di na ka mo adto sa lain. Basically mo nang pasabot.
So imong pangbasahon nga newspaper. Onya imong pangbasahon nga newspaper or imong mga website nga basahon pareho ra narrow ra kayo tanan. Okay, number 6.
Number 6 would be resistance to new ideas. So you feel very uncomfortable or dismissive when confronted with mga opposing viewpoints.
So kung naay musukwahi sa imong pagtuo, masuko ka. Mura kag dili ganahan, mura kag maglagot, di ba?
Not necessarily maglagot pero uncomfortable ka maminaw nila.
Dili ka ganahan maminaw nga ang imuhang pagtuo sayop.
Or dili ka ganahan mo entertain sa idea nga sayop imong nahuna-huna.
Okay. And number 7, telltale signs, unsang mga ebidensya, unsay mga makita nimo nga naadi ka sud sa usa ka bubble of ideas, sa imong mga ideas kaning isolated ay unsa ikapito bay.
Well, that would be homogeneous nga social circle.
What does that mean?
Your friends and acquaintances.
Mga genius imong mga kuyog? Unsa man ang homogeneous?
Homogeneous is like all the same.
Pare-pareha?
Pare-pareha.
Okay.
So imong social circle basically pare-pareha ra sila. Your friends niya, imong mga acquaintances, they all share very similar views o mga similar pod nga backgrounds.
Kay pareho ra man sad mo, di ba? So magkasinabot gid mo, kabantay ka ng barkada nga, barkada na sila kay pare-pareho sila ang mga pagtuo, di ba? Niya kung nagi mo sukwahi gali mag-away. Di ba say kanang mga barkada, di ba? Nga buang manis ko si you know what I mean, laglahi siya pagtuo ba, di ba? So mag-away sila. So but ang kanag yung barkada ang ilahang reason nga nung nagkuyog sila kay like-minded sila, di ba? So mo na siyang nabarkada mo in the first place.
Sometimes, pero sometimes kay tungod lang dito sa kanang mutual nga interests. Like
mo lagi mutual interest lagi.
Ay not necessarily ang pag ang mga beliefs ninyo, pero like let's say kamo duha kay fan mo sa basketball. So dito mo nagkaila, dito mo nagkabarkada. Or something like that ba?
So muna siyang homogeneous social circle. Pare-pareho ra ang mga imong kastambay, imong barkada. Ikawalo, unsa man?
Ang sunod kay overemphasis on consensus.
Okay, unsa man ang consensus?
Ang consensus is that basically everybody should agree. Or everybody agrees on something. So ang kani siya, it's you prioritizing agreement over critical thinking or kanang debate. So dili mo ganahan mag-argue necessarily ba sa inyong mga ideas. Gusto rin ninyo everybody believes the same thing.
So mo na ang overemphasis on
consensus.
So ganahan ka og nga unsa man, like ganahan ka ang tanan mo agree nimo? Mo na ginana?
Yeah, something like that. Or at the very least, vast consensus. I don't know if like majority siya.
No, yeah, I don't think it's a majority. It's just a consent. Yeah, a majority. Not everybody. Just like 60 or 51%, right? Is already a kind of consensus, right?
Basically, general agreement.
Yeah, but if you want to get things done, ba, for example, if you want a law passed, for example, if you want something done, di ba? Kinahanglan ka og kaning Nagi consensus, di ba?
Mm.
Maghuwat juga consensus. Kaya kung wala consensus, then maybe you'll have to, I guess, go back to square one na po, di ba? Right?
Mm.
That's what it is, right? That's what it means to have a consensus if you want something done.
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily dili siya necessarily a bad thing nga naamoy consensus. Pero I think ang ang point dire is ang overemphasizing sa consensus.
Mm.
It's not necessarily a bad thing to get a consensus. But at the same time, it's also not necessarily a bad thing to have disagreement.
Mhm.
So, pero ang problema dire kung naa ka sa isa ka bubble, mo emphasize jud mo dili dapat agree ra jud. Walay mo disagree. Or ana gani.
Okay. So number 9, unsa may kaning proof, ang ebidensya nga you are in a bubble. Ikaw mismo sir, ikaw mismo ma'am, naa ka sa sud sa usa ka bubble of ideas.
Mm-mm. Well, number 9 would be kaning disconnection from reality.
Unsa
So-
unsa man din unsa pasabot niya na?
Yeah, so basically
Kay lisod na ba kay na-define ang reality? So man ang reality di ay.
yeah. Pero kani kay ang imong mga perceptions o imong mga beliefs kay dili sila mo align with facts or kaning mga broader nga social trends.
And finally, what's the last, at least based on our list here, the last telltale signs that you are in a bubble is?
Difficulty adapting to change.
Uy, nga naman.
So I guess part gyapon ni siya sa fact nga dili mo komportable maminaw og mga ideas nga that challenge your own. So you're often caught off guard by new information or shifts in opinions outside of your bubble.
So muna ang atong top 10 signs that you are inside a bubble. Kung naamoy mga ikapuno niya ng listaha, let us know. Text 0999-887-6070 or you can message us on our Facebook page, Tops Media Center, and on YouTube, Tops Media Center. Tell us, imuhang mga signs that you are in a bubble. Maybe dili ikaw mismo, maybe imuhang amigo, imong amiga, imong barkada, they're in a bubble. Let us know what are the other signs. As far as we're concerned, those are the signs of you being in a bubble. Now, akong pangutana sunod niya ni Ralph. Unsa may nakanindot di ay anang naka sa imuhang bubble? What are the advantages nga naka sa imuhang kaugalingon nga bubble? Nindot man ang naka sa bubble or ngilad na siya? Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Be, tanawon be.
Well, I think pretty much just like all things siguro naman yung mga pros and cons.
Sige, unsa may pros anang you are inside your echo chamber, your bubble be. Tanaw to be.
Well, probably one pro jud of being in a bubble kay kanang comfort and belonging.
So mo na kang isgutan nimo gaganiha, di ba? Nga sa imuhang eskwelahan, ganahan kag nay bubble kay ikaw kung usa.
Oh.
Di ba? You're alone, you're a student and there's so many other students and it's scary. You know,
Yeah.
You could be like I said, the word that comes to mind all the time is you could be bullied, you know, and if you don't feel like you belong, you feel like an outcast, di ba? Mura kag barkada, mura kag lonely boy ka and all of that stuff, and I don't know, we are not trained to be alone, di ba?
Yeah, no. Very very social creatures jud ang mga kaning mga human beings.
No, but not to not want to be alone. I guess, I mean, you're probably so used to having family around. For example, di ba? You're so used to having your mom and your dad, your brothers and sisters. If your household is a bigger kaning family, maybe like your uncles and your titas, your lolos and your lolas. So you're so used to a support group, right? And in a way, kanang naka sa eskwelahan, mura man competitive ang environment, di ba? Nga, kinsay pinakadako ang grado, di ba? Kinsay pinakamaayo sa sports, di ba? Kinsay paborito sa maestra, kinsay pinakasikat, kinsay pinaka-hunk, di ba? And all of that stuff. Kinsay who gets the girl, di ba? Mo man nato mga issues sa eskwelahan, right? So importante kay itong number 1 mo, which is
comfort and
belonging. So mo na siya, that's what a bubble and an echo chamber gives you. Gives you a kind of comfort, and it makes you feel like you belong. Who doesn't want that, right?
Yeah, who doesn't want to belong?
What are the other pros? What are the other advantages of being in a bubble. Go ahead.
Mm-mm. Another pro siguro of being in a bubble kay kanang reduced conflict.
So
So,
wala kay away.
wala kaayo away-away.
Kay puro sa muno parihag pangutok, di ba?
Oo, lagi. parehas mag utok, parehas mag huna-huna,
Oh.
parehas mag mga hobbies guro kana.
Oh.
So reduced ang tension sa inyong sa imong group.
Sige, unsa pa lain advantages of being in a bubble? Number 3 is
Oh well probably kay every time you're hearing your ideas being validated nya gi echo sa lain nga tao ma-build up pod ba ang imong self-validation.
Sakto day ko, bright day ko.
Oo,
sakto di ako mga pagtuo, ngilngig day ko di ay.
Lagi
di ba,
ma-build up imong confidence.
Idol day kay ko sa mga akong mga kauban di ay kay pagtuo nila sakto man ko, di ba?
Oo.
So it builds your confidence. Unsa pa lain ba? Unsa pa advantages sa being in an echo chamber, you're being in a bubble ba?
Probably ang next pro is efficient communication.
What does that mean?
So kaning shared values, mga inside jokes o kaning mga shorthand language make conversations very much smoother. And you don't need to explain yourself gani repeatedly.
Mo nang mga kaning internet speak, di ba?
Oh, kana may nana. In a way that's a bubble in it of itself kay kamao naman mo.
Kamo ra say nakasabot ana, di ba?
Oo, kamo na say makasabot ana.
Oh, so mo nang you have riz instead of having charisma, di ba? Di ba, di ba?
Or kanang nerf or buff.
Oh, mga words, di ba?
Words.
Unsa man ang buff ba? Ikaw ay
mga gamer ni.
dili na buff ka ng maskulado dili.
Ang kanang nerf ug buff kay kanang ang nerf is basically they make something weaker. Ang buff is they make something stronger.
Diba nerf mo na pusil-pusil man to ng nerf ba? Did that come from that?
I don't really know actually. If dira siya gikan.
Okay. So mo na siya advantages of being in a bubble, efficient in yung communication. And finally, what's the fifth and last kaning advantages of being in a bubble in an echo chamber? Inyong mga tao imong mga kaila, pari-pareho ra inyong mga paghunahuna is
that's going to be community and solidarity. So ang kaning mga echo chambers, they also have the function of uniting people towards collective nga action. Be it mga social movements, religious groups, or even kaning mga hobbyist nga communities use this solidarity to mobilize resources, plan events, and support each other.
So those are the advantages of being in a bubble, in an echo chamber nga imuhang mga kaila, inyong mga barkada, imong mga kakuyog og mga ideas nga nagluta-luto sa imong utok og imong gipangbasa pareho nimo mo nang advantages. How about the disadvantages of being in a bubble?
Well, as for the disadvantages of living in a bubble or kaning echo chamber, first and foremost, kay it's going to give you a very limited perspective. So being in a bubble means you mostly hear one side of the story. This can give you a very distorted view of reality. For instance, someone consuming only let's say partisan news may believe that their side's version of events is the absolute truth. Meanwhile, they miss mga nuances or mga valid concerns from the other side.
So limited imuhang perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so next?
Next is going to be polarization.
What does that mean?
When you're constantly hearing views that reinforce your own, you can be pushed towards stronger, more extreme versions of them.
So mukuan ka mo dig in ka kung kuan pa na kung tag of war pa na kanang game nga tag of war magbinirahay man nag-PC, di ba? Imuhang tiil imong i-plant sa where you are para dili ka mabira sa pikas, di ba? So mo dig in ka murag mulawom ang imuhang foundation kunuhay, di ba?
Mulawom ang imong foundation and it will make you push you towards stronger nga actions or stronger nga beliefs.
Okay, next.
Ang third kay resistance to change.
Uy.
So of course, being in a kaning echo chamber or living in a bubble kay you're only looking for confirmation bias. So whenever na ay new information nga mahatag sa inyo, you're going to be very resistant to the idea of changing your preconceived beliefs na kay mo naman ning natuuhan nimo niya mo man ang what do you call
Mo
this?
inaanda nimo, so posible nga ang information nga ihatag sa usa ka tawo maybe related to what you believe in is wrong, but motuo ka niya na kay mo man imong bubble, di ba?
Yeah, yeah. And
Diba?
they basically reinforce naman kaya ang imong mga ideas within
So,
sa imong bubble.
mo may gisulti ni Toto niya, si Toto man imong gituhuan gyud, di ba?
Mm-mm.
So maski unsa na lang isulti ni Toto, we're making up a fictional person, right?
Oo.
Motuo na jud ka.
Oo.
Kay imuhang pagtuo nga si Toto sakto man gyud, di ba?
Oo. Anya kung naay kuan,
Nasi bakak.
or dili kung na si tata, muhatag si tata
Oh,
og kuan.
bakako na si
Oo.
Tata.
Mo na siya nga si Toto kay kuan ba yan? Kay
Si Toto ang iyang pagtuo ra ba nga kani si Tata imong pagtuo kay sukwahi.
Oo.
So nako kay puruhan nga maski si Toto, this fictional person that we create, I don't know why it's Toto. So really very kaning more dili credible nga ngan ba. Si Toto maski iyang gisulti bakak na,
Oo.
motuo jud kaniya kay
Si tata di jud ka motuo ni
oh,
tata.
oh. Sige. Finally, what's the final disadvantage of being in an echo chamber, being in a bubble is?
Oh, well, we still have two more actually.
Okay, go ahead.
We have risk of misinformation.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of
Similar to ganiya, di ba?
oo.
Oh.
Similar to gain na ay mga tao nga dili nimo tuuhan, na ay mga tao nga imo jud tuuhan bisag unsaon. So sometimes without knowing it, ang imong gi-consume nga information kay misinformation na or misleading information, and mo spread siya og maayo sa inyong sa inyong circle, sa inyong bubble rather.
And finally,
And
what
finally,
are the disadvantages of being in an echo chamber, being in a bubble?
social isolation.
Okay, what does that mean?
So spending too much inside a bubble can alienate you from those who don't share your views.
Okay.
This can harm relationships with family, friends, or colleagues who think differently.
So muna siya ang disadvantages of being in a bubble. You know what, bay?
Mm-mm.
Kana bang I actually keep on repeating this line ba nga, success hides a lot of wrongs. Ang pasabot niya na kung ang usa ka butang successful para nimo, or ang usa ka butang successful para sa usa ka korporasyon, para sa society, ang mga sayop niya na mataguan, dili nimo makit-an kay successful man siya, di ba? All you see are praises, all you see are just reinforcing what works, di ba? So ang kanang magong mga ideas good pananglitan ay idea nga successful pananglitan. Let's just say demokrasya pananglitan ba. Kung successful kay nang usa ka idea, i-reinforce yun na nimo, imuhang isugnuran, imuhang isuportahan unya, dili ta makakita unsay depikto ni ana kay successful man in many ways ba. Pananglitan na ay korporasyon nga successful kaayo, successful in the sense ang metrics niya, let's just say profitable kaayo, di ba? For example, profitable kayo usa ka korporasyon unya, ang iyang mga iyang paghimo sa usa ka produkto pananglitan o pag-extract sa usa ka produkto pananglitan, let's just say fuel, or let's just say making a cell phone, or I don't know, running a city. Kung successful gali kay kastanan, mura kag dili makalimot na ka ba og pangitag apan, di ba? Ngano mangita mag-apan nga sakto na gyud na gali, successful na, you know, like ang mga tao nalipay na gali nganong pangitaan pa man nag-apan oy, di ba? So mo nay para nako, but that's also kanang magong success creates a kind of momentum. And kanang momentum for me is also a kind of bubble. Di ba? Kay successful good, di ba?
Yeah.
Kinsa may mo disagree nako, di ba? You can't argue with success. Di ba?
Yeah.
Di ba?
Yeah.
So pero ang pangutana ni ana is kanang success permanente ba na? And I venture in saying it's not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kanang success only at a certain time ra na siya. Na siya limited duration. Maghuman na na window of success. Even basketball players, even basketball teams, di ba? They talk about the window of success of LeBron James and Stephen Curry is
Oo.
narrowing, di ba?
Yeah.
And it's win now or whatever, right?
Yeah, lagi mga inana.
So, kanang success dili na siya permanente. So, importante gyud kaayo nga andama na to og mura og unsa tawag niya na ba? Mura bag escape hatchet ba?
Escape.
Escape
Pod?
escape pa whatever ba?
Escape mechanism.
Auto
something
eject
like that.
ba?
Oo.
So, but sometimes man good ang successful dili sila makakita silang apan kay successful na kaayo sila for a long time. There are many examples of this. Katong Nokia. I don't know if you're familiar with the Nokia kaning technology, di ba nga gi-dislodge nila ang Motorola, another cell phone company. Motorola was focused on durability, di ba? O ni pagtuo nila mo na ni ang kinanglan sa mga tao. They were so successful at the durability aspect of a cell phone that they forgot people wanted it to be easy to use, and Nokia was human technology. So apil din na dislodge sa Nokia ang Motorola, di ba? And ang Nokia, I think I don't know, they probably forgot about the software component of it. Unya mura og nakafocus sila sa ilang ease of use, unya the design wasn't as good as Apple, so murag na dislodge po sila sa Samsung and sa Apple, I think, and so on and so forth. What I'm trying to say ba is I'm sure I muddled the analogies, but what I'm saying is kung something works, you don't wanna listen to anybody else because you can't argue with success. But ikaw sad nga nakay contradictory nga mga ideas sa usa ka kompanya or sa usa ka ideolohiya or sa relihiyon for that matter, dili ka paminawon kay mahadlok sa nga basig ako heretic ani, basig sayop ko, basig samok-samok lang ko, di ba? Mura kag pest ba nga smuka ning GGO yung sige lag contradict nga dili man na mao ang successful am kay you can't argue with the success of this, right?
Yeah.
So mo na danger ana.
Yeah, I can definitely see unsay pasabot mo, especially with the analogy. Nga murag tungod sa kaningang success, dili na ka open to ideas of change.
So kanang bubble in a way is a kind of successful story. It's a kind of success story, right? In the sense nga there's a reason why there is a bubble because it works.
Yeah.
Right?
I think depending on like us what type of bubble it is, pero I don't think it's always gonna be the case with necessarily ang kanang social bubble. I don't think it's necessarily the case nga it's all about ang basis dun niya kay ang success sa idea necessarily. Kay with social bubbles, sometimes it's really just all about kanang looking for somebody who thinks the same way that you do. Dili siya necessarily nga tungod kay ang imong idea kay it's a successful idea. At the very least mo nang akong pagsabot sa social.
So you don't feel nga the idea is working. I think the idea is working. It is a kind of success because kung wala inituuan ang idea ha, wala siya traction, it ceases to be a bubble, di ba? It doesn't become a bubble because nobody is gravitating to that idea, right? So in a way, it is a kind of well, it could also be a group of unsuccessful ideas, right?
Yeah,
it could also be, diba? And
like
then
flat earthers.
Yeah. For example, well, it's weird that we're calling it an unsuccessful idea, right? Maybe an unsuccessful. Well, who are we to say that, right?
Well, I'd say unsuccessful in the
But they have millions of followers, right?
Yeah, they do. Pero in the sense nga, they've always had the hard time trying to prove their theory. And in fact, there was this really well-known flat earther nga who tried to, like, once and for all, prove nga the Earth is flat. And his idea, his experiment rather, just ended up supporting the idea that the Earth is a sphere.
Kung ganahan mo join sa among conversation, please, guys. We're tackling a very ambitious topic, and we'd like to be able to scratch the surface of this topic ba. Ang reason magud Ralph nganong ganahan ko makikistorya aning bubble ba because daghang kayong mga strong opinions on the internet, di ba? Just fairly recently, about a few days ago, si Charlie Kirk was shot because of voicing out his opinions, right?
Mm-mm.
And this is not the first time that this has happened. This has happened many times. So much
Yeah.
violence
Yeah.
because of somebody's
Beliefs.
opinion and
Mm-mm.
beliefs, di ba? So kaning and you can see that in our discourse online also sa Pilipinas, sa Cebu,
Yeah.
di ba? Grabe kayo sila ka pro Duterte,
Mm.
pro Pink, pro Marcos, whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Nya grabe kay sila mo dig in ba, mura sila grabe kay ilahang mga pagtuo. Unya ganahan ko tukion ni siya para makasabot ta nga basig atong mga pagtuo are just in a bubble. Murag
Mm.
dili na ta maminaw og dissenting opinion ba because we think that our idea is the correct idea.
Yeah.
But bay akong pangutana sunod ani, is there such a thing as a correct idea? I think there is, right? What do you think, Ralph? Do you think there's a right idea? There's a right way of being. There's a right way of navigating through this life. There's a right form of government. There's the right religion. There's a right economic doctrine and so on and so forth. Do you think there's one?
Well, daghan man kay gi bring up jud about like is there a right this that and everything. Pero I guess I'll start with kan lang jud. Is there such a thing as the right idea? Well, yeah, I would definitely saying there's such a thing as the right idea, especially when it comes to like solving problems. Like let's say nakay mechanical nga failure sa imong car and gitan-aw sa mechanic. Obviously the mechanic should have a good idea or at the very least the right idea on how to fix your car. Okay, if he has the wrong idea on fixing your car, musamot na yun ang problema.
So naay mga butang nga is still up for grabs. Pero fixing a car, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, di ba?
Yeah.
So how do we divide now the realms of ideas ng mga butang nga ang mga solusyon kay fix na gyud. Ani na gyud siya pag ayo og sakyanan inani ra gyud siya. Way lain nga pamaagi. Unsa man ang mga grupo ka sa mga butang, mga ideas o mga kaning philosophies or ways of being nga is no longer up for grabs. Dili na lalisunon ba? Di ba? Dili na lalisunon nga. Kung imuhang radiator pananglitan mahubsan og tubig or mahubsan og coolant mo overheat gyud mo sakyanan. Butangan gyud mo og tubig or at least tubig kun dili coolant, di ba? Pananglitan, di ba?
Yeah.
So mo nang dili na lalisonon, di ba? Pero how do we know if kanang imuhang pagtuo belongs to that category or does not belong to that category? Dili siya black and white and cut and dry?
Well, ideally jud kay iagi jud nato sa debate. Sus niya kanang the
debate
free
ra ba?
exchange of ideas unta.
Unsa man ay pasabot imong debate? Do you mean like a actual debate with a format or unsa man like
Well, not necessarily kana nga naay actual nga debate with a format pero at the very least the free exchange of ideas kay dira jud dapat nato unta ipaagi ning asa ay ang pag-categorize nato sa ideas that are set. This is the right way of doing it, and the ideas that are nga mga concepts that are still up for grabs. What's the right way of approaching these problems? I think dra jud dapat muagi jud siya dapat sa realm of the free expression of ideas. The exchanging of ideas.
if you want your ideas to be discussed here, guys, join us on YouTube, Tops Media Center, on Facebook, Tops Media Center, also on TikTok.
Yes.
Tops Media Center, kung naamoy mga ideas diha nga ganahan nato itukion about being in a bubble or and how do you know if you're in one, let us know. Text 0999-8876-070 si Joey Lemo gitagantag picture. Usa ka tawo nga nasa sud sa literal bubble, right? So yes, we have a bunch of friends who are joining us or have joined us on TikTok. Can you mention them? Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Hello day kay Rai, DJ Bros, Master Koyi, Leo XXY, Nessa, Shangguan Bin, Bongski, Debbie Bobon, Sheila Sarabia 90.
Maayong adlaw ninyo diha atong mga kaigsuonan sa TikTok. Mga TikTokers, good morning guys. Thank you so much for joining our conversation. How do you know when you're in a bubble? Who else is there, Ralph? So, interesting yung kaining kuan ba yung atong discuss karon, and I think part magud sa atong kultura ba, like we mentioned before, kita magud we're not a very argumentative mura og we're not the kind of people kanay mga Pinoy nga makiglalis, di ba? Mura sa muka man tanagot sa muka nang siglalis oy, di ba?
Kanang
Di ba mura ato
confrontational.
dili ta confrontational people ba? So mutando lang ta, di ba?
Oo.
I mentioned to you before nga during a meeting kuno, like I was talking to a corporate psychologist nga human grabe naman kay diverse ang mga different companies of the world now, di ba? Even in the Philippines, di ba? Kung makakita kuno ka og especially kana mga business process outsourcing businesses nga mga daghan kayo sa IT park, daghan lain-lain mga nationality, na mga Hapon, na mga Indian, ang Amerikano, mga British, di ba? So lain-lain gyud kuno og reaction kung naay meeting ba kana kunong mga European, mga Amerikano kuno kanang sige lang og raise lang hand, pangutana, mo kusukwahi. Ang mga Pilipino kuno mutando lang kuno. Mutando lang pag human ini human as meeting in talikod na dili buhaton. Ano bitaw, because we're not an argumentative confrontational people. So kanang mga ideas nato ato lang giluom ba? Dili taganahan mo sulti sa mga ubang tao kung wala ta ni agree niya na dili kaayo ta mo sukwahi. Tan-aw nimo ba? Is that still true, or am I in a bubble nga who think nga that's the way most people think in this country?
Na maglisod jud kog tubag anang pangutana kay feel nako maybe limited report kayo akong knowledge on this. Maybe I also live in my own little bubble.
But is being in a bubble by inescapable? Is being in a bubble inescapable? Is it a fact of life that we're all in our own bubble, and the idea is for us to try to get out of it, or at least poke some holes in our bubble so we can let other ideas in, because maybe being in a bubble allows us to succeed, diba? Maybe being in a bubble, especially if your bubble is successful, is effective in navigating through society, maybe we are inescapably and should and ought to be in a bubble.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think
it's a question, huh?
I think I definitely agree. I don't think inescapable ang
bubble.
Ang kaning bubble.
Yeah.
And I do think we all live in our own bubble. And
Okay.
And Panjid, it's really like you said, it's really just a matter of poking some holes sa imong bubble here and there to let some new ideas come in.
Pero isn't that toxic for a bubble? For example, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a classic example nga, which is everybody can relate to. Religion, for example. Diba? For example, ang imuhang bubble is you believe in a deity, and this deity has certain characteristics and all of that stuff, right? Kung imuhang pasudlan og, let's just say, dili mo to Ginoo, dili pa toxic na sa imuhang bubble nga murag buang man ni siya ngano man ni siya nga nituo man siya nga way Ginoo, nga angkong pagtuo na ay Ginoo man. So ang imong bubble may not survive that kung imuhang bubble pasudlan nimo og sukwahi nga idea, di ba?
Yeah.
So basig kanang bubble is meant to be sustained and maintained for you to be able to navigate through life successfully. Kay kung pasudlan nimo lain nga idea, it might be toxic and your bubble may not survive another way of being, another way of looking at the world.
Well, maybe, but we have seen actually examples of kaning reform in what would be very what do you call this,
hard line
rather nga beliefs like theology. nga where naay mga reformist nga movements.
So reformist.
Yeah.
What's a reformist? Be pasabta ko ng reformist in the religious sense.
Well, so kani sa religious sense, this was really just people who wanted who thought nga the status quo at the time was wrong in how they were practicing the religion. At the very least, motong in the case of the Christian reformist movement.
Okay.
So the Christian reformist movement actually resulted, broadly referred to as the Reformed tradition of Christianity, also known as Calvinism, was a major branch of Protestantism that originated during the 16th century Protestant
So kana imong
Reformation.
gisgutan ba? This is just another bubble infiltrating a certain set of beliefs, diba? But in a way, pareho gyapon sila panghuna-huna kay mga religious ra magyapon to sila. I am talking about somebody who totally and completely does not believe in a God, period. Full stop, right?
Oh, okay.
Kani yung gisgutan nimo na mga reformist nga ang ilang pagtuo, for example, ang Ginoo kay kani ra gyud siya. Paghuman na ubang relihiyon nga dili ni siya Ginoo, ang Ginoo kani siya, di ba? So we're talking about a specific good example para makasabot gyud ta ba. So
okay.
kaning religion kay I know it's a very touchy subject, but we're just talking about it pragmatically para makasabot gyud ta unsay pasabot na nang bubble, di ba?
Yeah.
So
okay.
so kung pananglitan na kay bubble nga imong bubble of faith, right? Ni pasudlan nimo og kanang somebody who does not believe in your deity, in your God, right? In fact, walay Ginoo iyang pagtuo. Call it an atheist, right?
Yeah.
Dili ba na nga dili maka-survive ang imuhang bubble kay gipasudlan nimo og idea nga sukwahi kaayo sa imuhang mga pagtuo? Dili ba mura og dili na nimo i-welcome, dili gyud na mahimo nga sudlan nimo niya na kana nga idea ha?
Okay. Well, I guess lisod ka siya.
Dili siya helpful ba?
Dili siya
Helpful sa imuhang bubble. Unya so everything around you will crumble if pasudlan na nimo og idea nga 100%
against
what your bubble is, right? So
yeah, probably, yeah.
What I'm saying, Manggod, is a bubble is actually a kind of necessary evil, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
Kinanglan gyud nga na kay bubble. Kung wa kay bubble, wala kay I don't know. I might be misconstruing bubble as a kind of anchor.
Okay.
It might be that, right? Is an anchor a kind of bubble ba? Because again, we already defined what a bubble is, right? Kanang imong mga ideas dili na masudlan og lain nga ideas, mura na kag one-sided na kay ka, one-track mind na kay ka, di ba? So, could that be an anchor? Could a bubble also be an anchor of sorts?
Yeah, like you're an anchor to your views of
reality. This is my anchor. So wala dili na ni siya usbon, dili na ni kinahanglan mausab kay mo na gyud ni siya.
Okay. Well, the way I view it is like dili siya necessarily anchor, but murag ang scope of the ideas that you entertain. Dili siya necessarily anchor, but just a scope of the ideas nga imong entertain. And ideally, para sa ako, if you're not too afraid of cognitive dissonance, parang uncomfortable nga feeling of listening to ideas that are counter to yours.
So kuha sa imong pagtuo, okay.
Yeah. Kay you slowly but surely increase ang scope nimo.
So ang ato manggong ganahan siguro buhaton sa kalibutan karon. I don't know if you feel the same way. Atong mga kaigsunan pud nga naminaw diya if they agree with me. We want to live a good life, di ba? Mo man atong ganahan, di ba?
Yeah.
We want to be able to provide for people who need us. We want to be happy, di ba? So importante nga naatay bubble para maka-move forward ta with a support system, support group, di ba? Lisod maning kinabuhi, daghan man kanig mga kalisdanan, daghan kayo mga kausaban, di ba? So kung wala tay support group, wala tay bubble nga mo-protektar na to, maybe we feel naked. Maybe we feel vulnerable, right? Because wala tay support group ba? So maybe naagid na purpose ang bubble. Just like the child in school ba, na mahadlok nga way barkada, way fraternity, kay kaning basig kulatahon, basig ibuli, kung naamang gali wa kay kakuyog magtuon, di ba? Kung naay leakage, wa kay access.
Okay, source.
So ana bitaw. So
Yeah.
pareha siguro na ba in real life na when you get out of school, it's still the same world mo na giningon high school never ends because we still want to belong.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, gets nako. And you ang imong view anak kay mo siya anchor to society in a way. Not just ang imong views pero like in a way but it's your anchor towards a social group.
Yeah. Ultimately, the goal being flourishing. Human flourishing, succeeding in life, right? Whatever kakamimi BS metrics you have, but we have our own metrics, right?
Yeah.
So mo man atong objective good, and we only live so many years in this planet, right? And we can't possibly know everything, right?
Yeah.
So being in a bubble just makes life simpler.
Yeah, in a way it's like kanang sa tawag na we're tungod sa atong katapulan gani. It's just us trying to make the world simplified.
Yeah. You know, like again, let's go back to Charlie Kirk. When I saw that video, I was really like, mortified, right?
Yeah.
Nga usa ka tawo mubuhat niya na sa usa ka tawo nga iyahang mga pagtusok kuhay bitaw. And you know, I'm not a big fan of Charlie Kirk's ideas, right?
Yeah.
In fact, the opposite to me is mostly true. But still, he has all the right to say whatever he wants to say. But I think for another person to do that to another person is just to me unspeakable. So it has murauga showcased what we have been thinking about for a long time about what's going on not just in the United States but all over the world. It's our inability to talk to each other, diba?
Yeah.
To have healthy debates,
Yeah.
diba?
Healthy conversation.
Uni ang Amerika pag yun, ang atong idol ni anang butanga, demokrasya go na siya, they're a
Oo.
beacon of democracy. Unya sila mismo dili sila maka-istorya sa lang kagaling magpinatyanay na nilon sila kita nakadiri nga our democracy is still very precarious and relative to theirs it's still a very young democracy mas peligro siguro ta diri in many ways, di ba?
Yeah, definitely. I can like it's already concerning. It happened in the States where supposedly na sa like First Amendment rights nga, something it's enshrined jud sa ilang constitution. And yeah, they have probably the most loose regulations when it comes to free speech. Like sa akong pagkaibaw kay one moment. Sa akong pagkaibaw kay it's also protected considered nga what do you call this protected speech ang kanang pagsunog nila sa American flag, which is not the case here in the Philippines. Actually, if you burn the Philippine flag,
you go to jail.
You go to jail.
You go to jail,
Yeah. And yeah, in the States where actions such as that, which can be criminalized in other countries, are considered, a right, part of your right of free expression. That's why a lot of people throughout the world viewed the U.S. as the bastion of free speech, and the fact that now that status is in question, it concerning did kayo.
And people are blaming the algorithm for the morauga
polarization.
The polarization, the widening of the gap between conservatism and liberalism. Again, we're oversimplifying because we have a limited amount of time to talk about this, right? Number of hours to talk about this. Pero if you have to oversimplify the gap in the United States, it's really about liberal views and conservative views, diba?
Yeah.
So, but I think this is an important distinction ba? We can discuss, which is actually not yet very evident in the Philippines, di ba?
Mm.
Kanang liberalism is exactly what you just said earlier nga. In the free market of ideas, the best idea wins, di ba? And we
Yeah.
should welcome all ideas. At the end of the day, the good ones will remain and the bad ones will die out, di ba?
Yeah.
Kanang conservatism is a kind of again, this is an oversimplification because nothing is ever simple and black and white. But if you want to oversimplify conservatism, it's really a kind of digging in. It's a kind of hearkening back to a kind of time-tested beliefs ba nga. This is the way things are supposed to be. So, kanang conservatism is a kind of wanting to, based on the word, conserve, to retain, di ba?
Mm-mm.
And
Yeah.
and liberalism is a kind of
Wanting to change.
wanting to change, di ba?
Mm.
Mo na ang mga push and pull sa
Yeah.
American society,
Yeah.
di ba? Because of the internet, grabe lang yun ang mulag ilang chasm, ang chasm, ang gap, di ba, between those polar opposites. Diri sa Pilipinas ba? I actually had this discussion with a former COMELEC commissioner Goyo Larazabal. I told him nga maybe it's a good sign nga wala tay conservatism and liberalism. Maybe actually Filipinos don't disagree as much as they do there in the States. Maybe we actually all agree. That's why nangita na lang tag lain nga difference between parties, political parties. Personalities lang atong gitan-aw, di ba? Mas gwapo mo gud siya, mas maayo mo TikTok si kuan go do. Di ba? And so on and so forth. Kay dili man ni ideolohiya atong gipang tan-aw sa atong mga kandidato, dili man ni nga kani siya conservative, kani siya liberal. Dili man siguro inana, di ba?
Well,
So wala tay disagree day kaayo. Dili kayo dako ang atong gap as a nation as we thought it was. I don't know what's your take on that?
well, yeah, probably. Probably that might really be the case actually. Pero ang tungod lang jud sa social media, mas ma-highlight lang jud ang atong disagreements.
Yeah,
siguro,
yeah. Pero
rather than our
pero
agreements.
dili siya ideological,
Mm.
di ba?
Yeah.
Dili siya ingon conservative og liberal pananglitan, di ba?
Okay.
I'll give you an example, which is kind of a weird way of looking at it, but I'm just saying, correct me if I'm wrong. If we had to, ang ato mong problema gud is there's a way of looking at the world. I think this is another bubble that we're kind of in. We have a way of looking at the world. Let's just say the democracy of the United States bubble, right? And we try to latch it on to ours, di ba? Which is probably going to be devastatingly wrong. But let me give you an example. Si Duterte, si Digong, di ba? He was very liberal in the sense nga iyang ba kaning mas unsa lang gawas, di ba? Di ba? That is a kind of liberalism, right? Right?
Yeah, it is.
So but there's a liberal party, di ba? Hisgot sila ni kinsa to sila mga tawhana sila. There's supposed to be a new way of looking at the world, di ba? But murag dili haom ba? Dili haom bitaw ang atong definition sa liberalism og conservatism is, in a way, people, the way Duterte attacked the church is also kind of liberalism also, di ba? Na pwede ra diay atakihon ng simbahan, di ba? Di ba?
Yeah.
And then that's supposed to be liberalism, but there is a liberal party that's not as liberal as him, but you know what I mean. So it's kind of confusing. So dili gid siya mahaom. So if you had to, ba? If you had to, asa man day ang gap diay? Asa man day ang mga different camps diri day in terms of worldviews, in terms of bubbles lang. Atol sa diri sa Pilipinas diay.
Genuinely, I
Murag di ba?
I have a hard time just like
Wa
putting
gyud.
my
Murag parihar gyud tanan, di ba?
Oh, parehar mo. Parehar mo tanan.
Parihar na tanan, di ba? So wala gyud gap ba nga hisgutan nato bitaw. So in a way, we're actually thankful. I don't know if we're going to be thankful 10 years from now. But in a way, siguro malipay ta nga wala tay dako kayo nga disparity in beliefs ba.
Yeah. I think we're still largely homogenous.
Yeah,
in
right?
society.
And you would think we're not because we're archipelagic compared to the United States. One big chunk of land, di ba?
Yeah.
So actually, we're actually in agreement uh, with most things, right?
Yeah, more so than they are.
But kana bang people are blaming the internet ba? Kana atong mga
Uh,
differences ba? Are they valid ba gid ba? Are they really valid? Um, Again, I'm oversimplifying, but isn't it that we all want the same thing? Doesn't humanity want the same thing? Don't we want respect? Don't we want, to have something to eat, roof over our heads? Don't we want to love and be loved? Isn't that uh uh
Universal.
universal?
Mm.
Or am I being in my own bubble again?
Well, I would definitely think so.
Like
Oh yeah,
I'm in a bubble and
no.
oh.
Nga universal na sila nga mga feelings because probably if there's one thing I've learned after a while dude of consuming a lot of like kanang movie and TV nga kan
Mhm.
media
Okay.
kay the ones that are kan gani the ones that endure the test of time
Okay.
are the ones with kanang what's considered kanang universal nga messages
Okay.
kanang brotherhood sense
Okay.
of brotherhood and all that
Okay.
that's something that's very universal apparently in the human experience nga kan that need to fulfill a sense of brotherhood and belonging kana and yeah I definitely think what you described earlier kay they can be considered very universal
Okay.
human desires.
Nga na mag-away pa man kita.
I think
I think it's in the way of arriving at it, di ba?
Yeah, definitely.
The technique ba unsay atong pamaagi pagpadung anang atong the same wants and needs ba?
yeah
Lahi
definitely.
siguro, di ba?
Lahi tag mga concepts on unsaon na nato pag-achieve.
So dili mo gina mahimo bay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I might be in a bubble. So correct me if I'm wrong. Dili mo gina mahimo nga ang atong mga paghuna-huna parihas tanan, di ba? Dili mo gina mahimo,
Mm.
di ba? Unless again, if di ba, they're saying the future is homogeneous, di ba? Di ba? Nga eventually mo bitaw na bitaw nga mga futuristic movies ang itsura nila pareha tanan, di ba? Ang color puti tanan gabantay ka ng mga futuristic
Oh.
movies
Lagi
because
may
that's
nana.
really because the future is homogeneous. Ingon sila pero dili mo gina mahimo ang atong mga pagtuo tanan parehos, di ba? So unsa may the best way to navigate in this life? Like unsa man imo ang buhaton di ay nga kibaw mo ka nga maski unsa na kan tinuod, maski unsa na kan nindot, mas unsa na ka insakto ang imong pagtuo na amgi mo sakwahi whether you like it or not. Do you just move forward with impunity and make sure that everybody submits to your correct point of view? Di ba namay mga na, di ba?
Yeah,
Namay mga na, di ba? That's what they did before, di ba nga?
Yeah.
You have to believe in this faith, otherwise you're heretic. You die, right? They burn you, right?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. We have a history of metal bubbles, di ba? Nga dili gid matayog, di ba? Nga kung either it's you're with me or you're against me. And you're going to die, right?
You're either a revolutionary or a counter-revolutionary.
Di ba? So walay middle ground, walay gray area, di ba? So unsa may maayo day nga pamaagi ba nga mas maayo lang gid siguro to survive in this world. You just have to be in your own bubble and ayun lang panghilabot yang nganom day flat earth akong pagtuo ba? Wa may namatay aning flat earth, di ba? Aldonay nga matay katong nangatagak dito sa edge, di ba? Pero we've never heard from them yet, but maybe we will, right?
Maybe
So
one day.
maybe this is the best that we got so far. This this thing called community. This
This living in a bubble.
Yeah, just living in a bubble. As long as dili ko hilabtan diri, okay raman siguro ko.
Well, maybe maybe in a way it's
Because I don't want to judge.
Yeah.
You notice I didn't judge what a bubble is because kanang being in a bubble is a kind of derogatory word. But I don't want to judge that word yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, continue. Sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to
Say,
check it clear. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'd say maybe it's the best of what we've got right now. Maybe. Pero I would definitely say it certainly needs improvement.
Okay.
Kay especially in the age of social media, I think mas nalala ang kaning mga gitawag na to nga mga bubbles. Especially in the case of polarization. Like you said earlier, a lot of people are blaming the current rise in kaning political violence
Mm.
on the fact nga so kaning mga internet bubbles, kaning
Mm.
mga social media bubbles kay they can greatly increase the effect of polarization.
Mm.
And that's probably one of the worst aspects about it right now.
Mm.
So maybe sakto ka nga kan. This is probably the best of what we've got currently.
Mm.
But just because it's the best of what we got doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't need to be improved.
Mm. So how do you improve on it? How do you begin to improve on it? Like, do you welcome dissenting opinion?
Mm.
Do you welcome new ideas in a bubble that's already successful,
Yeah.
or is there an ultimate truth that you have access to that maybe the world does not? Kay mo mong ginay nakaapan bay. I've said this before and I'll say this again. And this is not an original idea. For me, over certainty is the enemy.
Mm.
Over certainty is the enemy. That's probably what allowed the guy, whatever his name is, to pull the trigger on Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
That's what allowed the terrorists to fly their airplanes into a building or two buildings, right?
Mm.
So because they're over certain about the outcome of what they did, right?
Yeah.
Sigurado kay sila sa na ba? So I think Manggod, my ask is always have a little doubt in your heart.
Mm.
You don't know. You don't know what you don't know. More na ako ang a kind of suggestion. Mo na akong ikaalagad sa conversation ba. Just have a
Mm.
little doubt in your heart because you don't know what you don't know. But do you think is that kind of a bubble that I'm living in? The
Mm.
bubble. One of my favorite thinkers and political kaning comedian, si Bill Maher he said, "I preach the gospel of I don't know."
Mm.
In his documentary, Religious.
Yeah.
I preach the gospel of I don't know.
Mm.
So I don't know. We don't know. So I don't know.
Yeah, lagi.
What do you think?
Well, I think if
How can you distill? Because we're again, like I predicted, we're running out of time because this is an impossible task. Kapatuga-tugar tag istorya ni bay. I don't know if there's an expert on bubbles, but this is just our contribution to this conversation. This is not the
Mm-mm.
first time that I've tried to tackle this very impossible topic. Go ahead.
okay, well, yeah. To answer your question earlier, do I think your view is in it of itself a bubble of its
Yeah,
own?
is it a bubble to think that you don't know what you don't know and just to have an open mind? Is that a kind of bubble? Being open, is that a bubble?
Well, I'd say if it is a bubble, then it's a bubble with holes.
Mm-mm. Okay.
Just
Okay.
it's all a matter of just putting the right, not necessarily
Mm.
the right number per like a good number of good enough number of holes that
Mm.
you let a certain amount of new ideas come in. Maybe not too much to necessarily overwhelm yourself because there's also the fact na you can be overwhelmed with information.
Mm-mm.
Pero just letting in enough ba
Mm.
that there's a good amount of level of self doubt
Mm.
in yourself that will allow you not necessarily in what's it allow you to to question your preconceived beliefs just the right amount lang jud. Not necessarily to always constantly doubt yourself but to put yourself in this position where dili ra kay ka maapekto sa mga ideas that are counter to yours and what do you call this that specifically target your beliefs.
So, but what is the objective in Ebay? What's the goal? What's the goal? I'm asking you personally,
Mhm.
Ralph. Like, what's the goal? What do you want to happen?
Well, for me, ideally, I think it would be nice na we all become comfortable with the idea of venturing outside our bubble.
No, my question is about what's the goal in life? Like,
The goal in life.
what's
Okay.
so navigating the world in that way? Unsa may goal, unsa may end point day, unsa may mong ganahan may tabo day.
Okay. Unsay end
By, by,
goal?
by, by the way ba, before I let you answer that question, kaning ato ang gihisgutan ba, is this a kind of mura og first world problems kayo nga conversation? Does this have real life repercussions ba in the real world sa atong mga kaigsuonan sa kinabagan? Is this useful to them ba? Ang nga whether to live in a bubble
Or not?
or not? Kay usahay man gud kaning natay mga conversations usahay nga akong feeling nga murag out of touch ta ba? Right? Is this a kind of bubble that we're in and we think that this is a topic that is worthy of discussion on public radio in an FM radio station such as this 105.1 TMC or not? Tan-aw nimo bay sa atong mga kaigsuonan sa kinabagan sa atong mga kaigsuonan nga naminaw karon unsa may gamit ni ani nila nganong importante man ni nga mahibaw ta nga atong mga panghunahuna atong mga pagtuo kay mura og naasud sa usa ka lugar nga dili na ta maminaw og lain nga mga ideas nganong importante man ni para sa kinabagan tan-aw nimo bay?
Well, I think regardless of whether or not
Maayo kag pagabutang or naglisod ka
or something like that, not necessarily that, whether or not, regardless of whether or not ang kanisiya yung atong gi-discuss karon is high on the level of importance for the average Filipino citizen. I think it's still important to discuss this kind of things because whether we like it or not, we're all also kind of global citizens because of the internet. And whether we like it or not, things that happen outside are also going to affect us in a lot of ways because of the internet as well. And I guess for the average person, dili kani taas sa ilang priority list. Pero I think it should still be on the list and it should still be entertained.
Kay maybe knowing that they're in a bubble is useless to them maybe, but I feel like it's also important not just to a certain socioeconomic class of citizens but to everybody because I think ang atoang mga lot in life, ang atoang position in life, maybe a large part of that is because we're in a bubble. Pananglitan kung pobre ka. Pobre man jugong I was born poor so ani na lang kita. That's a kind of bubble thinking, right? Nga mo nang gini siya, wa tayong mabuhat ani, di ba? So I think it's important to let people know nga maybe you just need to expose yourself to other ways of being, other ways of looking at the world. Maybe you wanna seek other friends. Kay mo guna ang ato ang buhaton goodbye, di ba? Mo gravitate man ta sa comfortable, di ba? Mo gravitate man ta sa to mga amiga, which is nothing wrong with that because that's a support group, a support system, right? Pero kung atong mga kaila, mga pareho ra pod nato, ang atong mga amigo pareho ra pod nato, ang atong pagtuo nga muna ni ang kalibutan, di ba? So katong mga let's just say mga pobre o mga dato, it doesn't matter, mo gravitate ta sa ato ang again tapulanta kay mo ra may nasduol nato, dili sa ta mo reach out, di ba? Or maybe dili maduol nato si Ralph kay social ra kayo kaning Englishero ra kayo, di ba? Di ta maduol ng Ralph oy. Ana bitaw.
Lepod.
Di ba? Pero but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So
Gets.
so importante kayo sad siguro basig dato ka or pobre nga ang imuhang horizon, imuhang pananaw sa imuhang kalibutan, imo sang padak-an og juta ang aperture kung kamera pa na padak-i pud ang let the light in para makakita po ka nga maybe the world is not what you think it is. Right?
Maybe the world isn't as black and white as you think it is.
And or maybe, you know, kung nagpuyo ka, let's just say sa squatters area or nagpuyo ka sa Maria Luisa, kaning mansion, maybe the world is not just mga payag-payag, di ba? Nasa mansion, di ba? Ikaw po nga nagpuyo og mansion, dili ra day puros mansion ang mga bahay sa kalibutan. Napo day mga tawo nga naghigda lang sa kolon og kaning cardboard, di ba? Or ang ilang atop buslot, di ba? So for us to to see a wider scope, I think allows us to become. I venture in saying that I know this is too much of a stretch, but I think to become better human beings,
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
I know I'm very far from that, and a lot of us really fall short, but I think that's the goal, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was about to answer, but
Yeah,
when you asked me what was the end goal, and
yeah,
I think it's definitely to grow as a person,
mm,
living your life like this nga kanang poking holes in your own bubble. It's
yeah.
ang goal yun is to become a better person.
Mm. But kana sa that's a kind of bubble, kind of what's a better person? What does that mean, right? What is that, right? What
Yeah,
is that,
yeah,
di ba?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, so,
Like ang beliefs nimo on what
maglain
is a better person.
maglain-lain po na, di ba?
Yeah, maglain-lain po
So
siya.
maglain-lain po na, and just I guess respecting that, right?
Mm. Mm.
Respecting what uh, the diversity of thought, the diversity of beliefs.
Mm. Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
again, because we know ang atong anchor is all the same, di ba? To love and be loved, and have food to eat and roof over our heads, and to be respected, right?
Mm.
And so on and so forth. Pariharam ta og mga pangandoy gyud kung imog yung hunaw-hunaw ang ato lang pamaagi maglain-lain,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
But kung panalitan adunahan ka ba? Dato ka. If you have if you kay di ba kanang mga dato magtapok mga dato sa dili na sila mo standby og mga pobre, di ba?
Mm.
Kaysa kana sa mga nakakita og kaning dato niya standby sa pasil, di ba? Di ba? Di ba? Hadlok na sila, di ba?
Yeah, yeah.
Sakto ba ko? Sakto ba ko?
Maybe.
Ah?
Di mo ko dato. I can't speak for them.
Di ba? Baka nakakita ka nag-standby dito?
Wala.
Wala, di ba? Di sa ka makakita ganing pobre nga mag-standby o kaning lugar nga mga dato ra ga-standby. Number one, di siya ka-afford.
Oo.
Number two, wa siya sanina para kaning makaso diya kay mauwaw siya kay busloton siguro yang brief. Uy, akong brief. Kinumdum nino ka palit akong brief niya.
Yeah, lagi.
O kaning kakawan ka. So
Yeah, yeah.
dili gyud na lisod kay kanang effort jud kay tanan ba, di ba? Effort kaayo nga nganom man sad nga moadto pa man kog kaning usa ka lugar nga pagtuon ako dili ko na ako naanad kaning hugaw, di ba? Abog,
Mm.
di ba niya basig minunggaban pa ko dito, snatchan pa ko dito. Nganong maglisod-lisod mi sa akong kinabuhi, di ba? Ngan komportable naman ko in my own bubble, di ba?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think success good murag reinforces the bubble.
Yeah, definitely. It's something
So,
we discussed earlier.
Yeah,
but
so mag effort jud ka og gawas the project being to become a better human being,
Mm.
right? And again, what is a better human being? To love and be loved, to get
Respect.
I don't know about respect, but respect maybe for some people, right?
Mm.
The roof over our heads and food on our table, right? And to be able to provide for whoever is nagsalig nato, di ba? Our
Yeah.
family, right?
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
Yeah. And probably being more compassionate to others as
Unya,
well.
yeah, kung kuan po ga, kung aware po ga sa outside of your circle, makibaw ka nga naay nagliso diha, dili sa siguro ka mag-greedy.
Mm.
What do you think? Kung kibaw ka nga naay mga tao nga naghigda lang diha sa sahog nga nag-cardboard o busloton og atop and so on and so forth, basig dili kay ka madaw pod or mahadlok na hinung ka nga mapareha kanila sumudig in hinung ka nga ganahan jud ka mo accumulate og so much because you're scared of that happening to you.
Mm.
What do you think is the result of being exposed to the whole spectrum of suffering and joy in life?
Well, ideally, it will make you more compassionate
Mm.
of others
Or
around
it could
you.
also be fear, di ba? Nga, I don't wanna, di ko ganahan nga kaning ako'y bay, so I have to like amass not just millions but maybe billions, right?
Mm.
Basig mo dig in sa sila ba?
Yeah.
Mahadlok sila nga pobre sila. O dili sila
Yeah.
ganahan ilang anak mapobre so ilahang tapukon gud ilang kwarta.
Oo.
What do you think? Depende po na sa.
Yeah, mo depende po na sa tao.
Lain-lain gyud nag-reaction sa.
Oo.
Lain-lain gyud nag-reaction to life ba, di ba?
Yeah.
Na may uban nga dali kay ma-depress. Lain-lain gyud ta. So I think I don't know, man. Like again, murag this is the second time we tried to talk about being in a bubble, this Mount Everest of a topic, and I think we should continue talking about it because as long as we're talking about it, we're hoping we're not committing violence to each other
Yeah.
because we're just talking about it, right? And I think diversity of thought I think is very important, and knowing that you are in a bubble, sir. You are in a bubble, ma'am. With all due respect, right? We're all in our own bubbles. Nobody is not in a bubble because we all belong to a family, a barangay, a city, a community, be it religious or political, a country, a species, right? Murag, I'm trying to murag subayon ba ang atong mga different bubbles ba, di ba? Ang atong human bubble, di ba nga, we're the best game in town. Human beings are the best, man, you know? We created this and that. We went to the
Yeah.
moon and all that stuff. So as far as we're concerned, we're the best there is, right?
Yeah, top dog.
The top dog, right? But that's just our bubble.
Yeah, that's
And
our bubble.
just knowing that bubble, it helps, di ba?
Mm.
Right?
Kay kan it helps you understand nga you
Anong-
can be limited in what
Anong
you know.
giro mo kay tastanan? Giro mo kay ta, ha? Anong pamatyo naman na to ning mga manap kay para lami man kay ning kaon ko, di ba? Lami kay ning barbecue ginabot ko, di ba? Because we're the best. But you know, in fact I'm having ginabot for lunch now.
Oh,
Just to let you know, bro. But all I'm saying is kaning knowing that I think helps a little. Just a little.
just a little bit. Yeah, I can definitely. agree
Oh
with
my
that.
goodness. So before I let you go, guys, Ralph, I mean, like I hope our listeners are still there. Napa mo diha? Ha? Nag-enjoy mo sa among conversation or murag ambisyoso ra kay mistanan nga patuga-tuga mig hisgot aning tapika nga murag perting lisura gyud tukion. What are your thoughts? Let us know. 0999-887-6070 or maybe you can join us in our Facebook page Tops Media Center, on TikTok Tops Media Center, on YouTube Tops Media Center. Ralph, would you like to add to the conversation?
Well, I just like to shout out sa people who stopped by sa atong TikTok live.
Okay.
Na si Debbie Bobon, si Kay, Boss Renkzi, si Angie, si Alfred the Fourth, si Uwe Dom, DJ John Dixie, and si Marian. Mayang bundagan niyo tanan.
Daghang salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw sa among conversation. How do you know if you're in a bubble? I think the answer to that is we are all in a bubble. That should be the assumption.
Yeah.
We're all in a bubble. We have a bubble of ideas formed by our parents, I think first and foremost, by our community, by our school, by our nation, and our planet, right? We all have mga narratives ba, and I think kanang narratives is a kind of mo nang bubble, di ba? Kanang murag narrative. That I think that's another way of saying bubble. Kanang narratives, ha?
Narrative.
Murag atong istorya ba? Murag mo niya. I am Ralph. I am this. I am that. I am this and that. So it kind of reinforces the bubble. But our narrative is like, but this is my story.
Yeah.
This is my story. This is my bubble. You know. Do you disagree with me? Then buzz off, right?
Yeah. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah.
Anyway, our time now, it is 11:45. A quarter more to go before 12 here in 105.1 TMC.
The best of us.